Because here's the thing, to like you said in the beginning, if you're serious about it, you kind of have to do it yourself. Because in the beginning, you're just like, I have an idea and not enough people will bet on me, so I gotta literally produce and direct and DP myself. And then
Yeah.
the goal is, and the way you make better films or better music videos or whatever is, you, like you said, have a team where everyone just mercs their role. Like this is
Pretty
my role.
much,
I'm
yeah.
gonna just fucking, this is all I'm gonna care about. And then you trust
Yeah.
your teammates being like, okay, then you worry about this shit and you worry about this shit.
Yeah.
So my thing was, same with me. Like until that point with YSF, I was shooting and directing and editing all his stuff, and I was like, this is fun. But I'm like, it's dividing me a bit. You know, like as much as I enjoy this, I kind of want to, like you said, collaborate with someone.
Yeah. Well, you gotta focus, right?
Yeah.
You definitely gotta focus on the one thing.
Cheers to the first time on the podcast.
Thank you. Cheers. Pop my cherry.
Why don't you? All right, man. Well, we got one of the reasons I wanted to get you on at this time. I feel so formal talking to you like this because we were just chilling. It's like,
Yeah, I know.
So the reason
What happened to you, man? You were fine a second ago.
you're like, dude. So this is how I talk on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
We got that video dropping next week.
Yes, that's quite exciting.
I'm pretty excited for that. Brown Baby. So
it's like I forgot the title for a second. What was it that we were working on? Oh, right.
I'm saying next week, but I want to drop this after the video. So it's like, technically, you could even say the video dropped yesterday, because I think I'm going to do it the next time I drop this episode. But I just want to kind of talk about it a bit, because I've worked on you. I've worked on you for a while.
I'm glad you have worked on me. Yeah,
I've worked with you since...
I require a lot of work. So.
Yeah, working on the project with you is like, it's like two jobs. I got to work on the project, then I got to work on you as well.
Well, I got a lot of baggage that needs working on.
Hey, man, I'll never quit on you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's
When did we work first? Our first project together was Can't Go Back, right? I think that's the first time we worked together. I'm pretty sure.
we worked on some other stuff.
No, but that was the first time, though. I'm pretty...
Like yeah.
The first time we ever... Because, no, before that...
of, music videos, I guess.
No, that's what I'm saying. We didn't work on anything before that at all.
It's more like we got to work on something. I think we shot some stuff.
I really don't think so. I think Can't Go Back's the first thing. Are you thinking like DM, for example?
No. I'm thinking about...
I remember I tried...
event coverage. Didn't we do that?
Can't Go Back was first. I remember trying to work with you a while back, and you were busy. You were trying to figure out your own stuff. You had some other, like we had a phone call. I remember the first time we talked, it was on a phone call. We met in a washroom, first of all.
Yeah. We need some context.
I should probably, We were at a party, and then they were previewing your work, right? They were not previewing, but they were premiering your work.
Yeah, which was a music video at the time.
Exactly, and I thought it was dope, and I was like there as like a guest for my friend whose music video it was, and I thought it was dope.
That was long ago.
Yeah, fun
but
time.
I remember that. Yeah, it was in the bathroom. I was because I knew I was gonna come up on stage to like say a few words, and I've had a couple to drink already at that point, but it was it kind of you know what's funny? It kind of eased my mind that you came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, yo, like. I don't know what you said, but you mentioned something about Scorsese.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm like, okay, this guy's a film guy.
Yeah, because I was like talking to you in the washroom, washing hands. I was like, yo, that was dope, blah, blah. I'm a director as well, and I'm doing this stuff. And I don't know how Scorsese even came up, but that's such a my thing to do, like a deal thing to do where it's like just name drop directors, like
some sort of director,
out of nowhere for no reason. But I was trying to create a conversation because watching that work, I'm like, I got to work with this guy. I was like, because until then, I had been shooting everything myself. And you know me, man. Like, I can DP, but I'm not a good DP at all. I barely know my tech stuff, right? So I'm like, I know I have a vision and I want to direct. I need someone I can work with that's creatively a cinematographer, not just someone who wants to point and shoot a camera, someone who brings in their own input. And I don't know, I was hoping, I could have been wrong. Imagine we tried to work together and it was horrible. But I was like, there's something, I feel like we'll work good together.
I saw that as an opportunity just for us to be able to collaborate. I saw it as that. Because at the time too, if we're talking about that specific music video that I was working on, I had to do everything.
The Ashton one, right?
Yeah. Ashton's music video. I produced it, I directed it, and I DP'd it, shot it, and all that. And at that time where I just knew how to do all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. But in the kind of productions that we do, right, people need to be delegated to do certain things. Yeah. And that's how you really flourish in those roles. And yeah, at the time for sure, I was seeing more about what you can do to really make something look great. and I was like looking at lighting in general. So yeah, I was definitely in the direction of cinematographer at that point where we met.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that you did everything yourself on that, because that just showed me that, like, because here's the thing, to, like you said, in the beginning, if you're serious about it, you kind of have to do it yourself, because in the beginning you're just like, I have an idea and not enough people bet on me, so I gotta literally produce and direct and DP myself. And then the goal is, and the way you make better films or better music videos or whatever, is you, like you said, have a team where everyone just mercs their role. Like, this is my role. I'm gonna just fucking, this is all I'm gonna care about. And then you trust your teammates, being like, okay, then you worry about this shit and you worry about this shit. So my thing was, same with me. Like, till that point with YSF, I was shooting and directing and editing all his stuff, and I was like, this is fun, but I'm like, it's dividing me a bit, you know, like, as much as I enjoy this, I kind of want to, like you said, collaborate with someone.
Well, you got to focus, right? You definitely got to focus on the one thing, so you can get someone else to pretty much focus on the other shit. Now here's the thing. The funny thing about that is, like, when we did meet, at that point in my career, I've really solely focused on editing, and to this day, I'm still a video editor. And the reason I got into the industry in general is because I wanted to be able to put clips together, and obviously, for me to be able to do that at the beginning of my career, I had to learn all the other aspects, right? And I'm sure you, because
you can't. What are you gonna edit? What clips are you gonna put together? Same, like, for me, it's like, I want to direct. I gotta DP the work then, because what am I gonna direct?
You gotta edit it,
and then I gotta edit because, like, I can't just direct. This is what it is, and then I have no one else.
And then you realize at some point, it's like, oh, wait a second, you mean I don't have to do all of this?
Yeah.
And then, okay, people can do separate roles.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing is, I went to film school and I learned it there. Then after I graduated, I went back to, like, just doing it all on my own.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of what I took in was, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get other people to, like,
but I think that comes from also, like, in the beginning, you have an idea, like, I want to create something. I don't know about you. For me, it was also like, who the fuck is actually gonna believe in my idea more than me to even pull it off? Like, a part of me is like you said, like, you learned, like, teamwork is a huge thing in film school. But then when you get out and you have an idea, like the action video, whatever, you're probably like, I could try to convince other people and pitch my ideas, or I could just do it myself because I believe in this idea. And you got to do that. Like, and you doing that then created a relationship with me and you where it's like, okay, so what if we do something where you just focus on this and I'll just focus on this? Because it's like, you got to prove first.
I'm sure if you could do all the roles, you would. Like, I think, in a way, I think I feel like a lot of directors, if they were to try to, like, make something, it's like, to get their exact vision, they would be able, like, they would try to do it all, but we're human.
No, you're right,
can't do every single
but I'll be honest. That's me more like earlier on. Since I've started working with you or even other TPs, the way I look at it is like, I can make something good by myself and it'll be really fun to make and all that. But like, when you come on, right, onto a project, right, and then we have, say Brown Baby, for example. I remember I made, like, that rough little edit to show you what it's going to look like. I took scenes from films to give you a tone. Right? Yeah. Then at some point it was almost like, this is the most information I can give you, Brian, like, as, like, what tone I want, what kind of vibe I want, and I have to make sure you gel with it, because what if also I could have shown you that video and you would have been like, I don't want to make something like this, and that's it, done, conversations ends, right? So first I had to be like, this is the world I want to create, are you in? And you're like, yeah, I like this, so let's fuck around with this idea. Then it's like, at one point I got to be like, even with the shots, I don't know how you feel, I feel like I've gotten to a point compared to even say Can't Go Back, is like, I'm very like, we need to create, this is the scene, how do you think we should shoot it? Because I'm like, now you know the world, now bring your, because now there's two brains working. Like, I can be like, this is the tone I want. Your creative vision is, how do you achieve that tone? You know what I'm saying? So it's like two brains working, and then you also have, like, I mean, on a bigger set you have a gaffer and you have this, but
well, the point I was just trying to make was, if anyone could, in my opinion, as if I was in director's shoes, I would try to do it all. But the surprising fact is, you work with other people, and sometimes they make it better.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of like if you work with an actor, and you're like, all right, this is, like, my direction, and then they go
take it from here,
and they take something, and they're like, okay, maybe I'll improvise and do something, and then sometimes, like,
it's way better than what I even thought.
That's not even what I expected.
But sometimes it's the opposite, where, like, for actors even, I'll be like, they'll do this thing, I'm like, cool, and then I'll literally do it exactly how I want it. Like, the inflection, say the line is like, where'd the deal go? So they'll be like, where'd the deal go? And I'm like, great. Okay, do one where'd the deal go? Like, I'll do exactly the inflection I want in the voice and the whole thing. Sometimes you're right. Like, I want to, as a director or whatever, you want to do everything yourself. There's this part of you that's like, I just want to micromanage every little thing. But I think the freedom of letting go of that a little bit of like, okay, I know I'm with this GP, I'm with this actor. This is, guys, this is the world we create. Like, okay, one thing, another example. Do you remember? Do you remember? We did it just like less than a year ago, but the Turkey documentary, right? The thing with that one, which I liked, and it taught me a lot about other steps of directing, is like, just set the world, the parameters, and then let everyone who's part of it play in it. So we talked about our reference video. We had that reference video of the documentary. I think it was in an African country. We had a couple other like screen grabs from that website Issa showed us. Once that was done, and I could really just paint a picture, this is the vibe, this is the world, then, because during the documentary, there were not many times, like there were some times where it was like, you have to just go on your own and shoot, bro. I got to go with Issa, or I got to do this, or I got to watch for this. And it was like, now that tone is created, now it's like this trust that Brian knows what is needed, Issa knows what's needed, and they're going to bring it to life.
It was kind of funny how like you kind of had to like, in a sense, because of that direction, you knew exactly, I felt like I knew exactly what I was looking for, but because it was a documentary setting, you didn't know what was going to come up.
Exactly, yeah.
Just like,
so many variables of like, this could fucking just.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
But what I like about that kind of setting is once you see something, you know it. You know that's what you're looking for, even though you didn't know.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of freedom that's kind of come to that. And I guess it's the same when you're looking into like other productions. It doesn't have to be limited to the documentary. Sometimes when you're on set and you're just shooting something, it's like, okay, this is the angle that exactly what we wanted. And then you realize maybe it's hard to actually like execute that. And you find a different angle. And suddenly you're seeing something different. Yeah. It's like, okay, maybe this could work.
It's like right? It's like we storyboard or we do those reference videos and all those for the sake of being sane, so that we don't feel like we're not unprepared. Like a part of the whole storyboarding and showing frames or reference videos is to be like, okay, guys, so we're not going in without a map. We have a map. But sometimes, sometimes while you're working, you're right. While you're working, you're like we talked about this in a certain way, but now that we're on set and the way this actor just delivered that line or this shot was played, wouldn't it be cool if we did this coverage? Or wouldn't it be like you come up with stuff on the set? And that's one of my favorite parts too. Like where it's like, especially when like
something comes out of something that you've set up in the beginning.
Yeah. And then that really, but honestly, like there's only a few DPs that I've worked with that I've feel so comfortable with, where it's like, I do like those conversations on set. Like that reminds me of like, that's why I got into this almost. Cause it's like, just like talking about like, okay, this is the frame. And then just putting it there and then being like, okay, take 5. And then just discuss like, does this work or does not work? And it's like, having this conversation on a set, like sometimes I forget to be grateful for that. Like we're literally on a set about to shoot something, to create something, and we're just talking about how to shoot this shot. And it's one of my favorite moments because then that conversation leads to something like kind of cool, you know?
Yeah, and then you find something and you discover something. And I do like that about, if you're talking about more on the sense of cinematography and how something small like an angle change can suddenly make something look more dynamic. And you discover that as opposed to like being set on what you've set as a storyboard. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things where I've seen in the past where it's like something that's clearly planned out still ends up looking great. But that comes with like a lot of experience. Maybe those guys have made like whoever like in the past, like other productions, they've made those mistakes, but not really. It's more of like a discovery. And then suddenly like, we're gonna do that
from now on almost. Exactly. And we figured this one shot out.
And I definitely realized that in the production for Brown Baby. A lot of it was like, part of it was technical, part of it was just being able to make decisions on set. It's like, okay, this is what we envisioned it to be, and then all of a sudden we're like scrapping shots. We scrap shots. And I remember it's like, okay, these are the ones. And I'm like, I thought
Which shot? I'm trying to think of a specific one.
There's one. It's actually on your background right now. There's these shots. It's right there. I think we actually nailed what we wanted
within 45 minutes of coverage, and then we had the whole place for an extra 2 hours that we filmed probably that we didn't use.
The funny thing is, the more stuff that we used was towards the end, which was planned, I believe.
What do you mean?
we have performance shots.
Which
the light was
the
like,
last 20 minutes.
There's like an odd balance between like the blue and all that.
Which is, in all honesty, the gut feeling. The reason I wanted to rent out that shot right there, the OBJX studio. The reason I wanted to get that place is really, how we shot him performing and the windows and the little dark sunlight, or not really sunlight, but darkness from the clouds outside.
Yeah.
The first time I thought of like a scene for the music video for like those shots, I was like the windows and stuff, and that's what I really wanted.
Yeah.
And then like since we're there, we'll get a bunch of other coverage, and we really tried to. It was very mechanical, those shots. You know what I'm saying? It was too forced, and we felt that, and we're like, let's just scrap it.
It was too planned for some reason.
Yeah.
I remember expecting an awesome ass sunset. We
didn't get that
because it was a cloudy day, and the sun did eventually decide to peek out.
But how the cloudy it made it much it made it moodier.
It almost if anything it enhanced it.
Yeah,
and that's the kind of things. That's the kind of thing that you would kind of. It's the unexpected thing that would come out. That would have a result where it's like, oh, okay, cool. Was that a mistake?
Yeah,
I don't know. We kind of because we eventually
we maximized on that moment, so that it returned this not mistake. It was like this unexpected situation that we didn't expect to get into that we took and we just maximized.
And then it ended up working out.
And one of my favorite shots.
Actually, me too. A lot of the softness and how we like maximize. Like we use like the funny thing is we had all these lights set up and we ended up just using one light. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing about cinematography. It's like, okay, sometimes you can be over prepared. It's like, let's get all these lights, and then all of a sudden you're just using one source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's like you have to still be prepared to use more. So you'll still, like, for us, booking equipment and getting it ready to go. And then sometimes it's like, you almost feel guilty being like, we just need one light. But it's like,
we use all this.
Yeah, but it's like, that's all we need, though. Like, I'm not going to use 20 lights when we need one light.
That is kind of it's a funny problem to have. It's like, okay, well, we're over prepared. But, like, if the shot looks good with these things that you don't need all of it.
You don't need everything else.
Don't force it. You don't have to force it. Whatever looks good.
And you have to be okay with that, because I feel like in amateurs or like in the beginning of your career, you would almost be like, I got to use all the lights we have. Almost, a party's like, we got 10 lights, we got this.
We're spending money on this.
Yeah, we got to put everything on. But like, nah, what looks good, Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. That's interesting. But no,
I did like that quite a bit. I do remember we had a setup. It was the garage. Where he's like working.
The mechanic.
The mechanic scenes. That one was like the most complex I've ever lit anything. But the thing is, like, here's the thing: we're also doing pretty low budget.
It's all favors. That mechanic shop is like my buddy's shop, and it was like he was like, yeah, you can use it, but I knew we went after hours. We got there at like 9 p.m. It was a long day. It was like since 8 a.m. we'd have been shooting. We had another shoot thing the next day.
We did, yeah.
At 9 p.m. or something, we got there, and I'm like, yeah, we can't, like, he's okay with us using his spot, but we gotta get out of here by like 1 a.m. latest. And it was like, how do we shoot everything, light everything? And that's where you're kicked in of like, this is how we gotta light it so that we can keep one consistent lighting the whole time.
That was the odd case of, in that case, we used all the lights. It was kind of funny. It's like, the whole day was kind of like, I don't know, we don't need to use much. You don't gotta force it, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, now I need every single light. And that's kind of the dynamic that you have to like deal with. That's for me, at least, as cinematographer.
Well, you got to make the right decision at the right time.
All of a sudden, it's like, oh crap, we have to use all these lights.
Yeah,
it's feeling a little bit too dark, or it's.
Well, you know what it is. It's when you have to.
Enough.
Exactly. No, that was our concern. Was like, this shot can't look cheesy mechanic, right? It has to kind of a grungy vibe, and it became the first decision that led to using all the lights was we can't use the house lights. The house lights are too bright.
I know, it's never like that, yeah.
And when you can't use house lights, then you got to use all the fucking lights. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had to really let the shit out of that place.
Try to make it as natural as you can look. That's always the hardest challenge. But
I've been telling this for a while, man.
Look real.
I've been telling this for a while, though. Even that one, like, it's not technically natural. It's like what looks good. Like, think of it, and I think you've gotten really good at this. It's like, think of it like a photograph, right? It's like when you just look at the screenshot, what would look good? And then it's like, let's light it for that. Instead of being like, on a day where YSF is in the mechanic shop, how would it be lit? It's like, nah, fuck that. Fuck. For me, at least. I'm like, fuck the realness of it. It's like, what would look good?
Yeah.
What would make a good picture?
The way I looked at it is, I was always thinking, it's like, how could this naturally look? And then you're right. It's like, how could this look the best it could?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Because if you were to look at some of the setups, it's like, why is there a light that exists there? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, also a mechanic shop lit that dim, it's kind of dangerous.
It's supposed to be like stark light.
Yeah, we're supposed to see everything, dude. You're working on cars. We're like dim and sexy kind of lighting.
I always think about some mini documentaries that I've seen, like like maybe there's an artisan who works at a wood shop.
Yeah.
And then the way they always show the documentary, it's always like there's some the only light source they have is the window. And it's super dark. It's like, this is not safe at all. And I've always thought, no one's ever questioned that.
Yeah,
it's like, wait a second, if it
looks good, if it makes you feel a way, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it
has to make you feel something.
It has for sure.
That's all that matters, honestly, man. At the end of the day, if the lighting makes you feel like this is too unnatural, then that's bad. But if you can find that sweet spot of like not being kind of natural but making it look good, like that light coming out of the window, like you said, like it's just dark, but there's window light coming out, so you're like, oh, it's moody, and it's like,
It's true. You could have that intention of trying to make something look natural, and at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But we've had another production, which is Mind. That one I want to talk about actually, because that one was like almost we didn't light anything. It was more like you set up a tone. Yeah. And just had to accept what it would look like.
No, but I feel like we get lucky too. Like that day was sunny, which is what we wanted. It was kind of cloudy, but it was mostly sunny, so it was like perfect.
But that was the plan.
Yeah,
that was the plan from the very beginning. And it's probably at that point when we made that music video, that was possibly one of the best looking things I've made at that point. Yeah. And now it's Brown Baby. I'm just I'm looking at this now. It's like, okay, this is the evolution of like my cinematography style.
Yeah. I'm glad I was there for the ride along both times.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because like you think about that production and how bare bones that was, and then we think about Brown Baby now, and it still felt pretty bare bones
compared to mine. Though it was pretty big. No, it wasn't big. Sorry, but compared to mine, it was more because we shot with the red this time. We had more. I have the same amount of crew members maybe, but it was like certain small things like colorists. We actually got a really good colorist to color it.
Yeah, we definitely put more money into
Brown Baby. Yeah. But you're right. Even then, it's very bare bones. Everything was favors and the equipment too. Like we got a crazy deal, and it was still bare bones technically.
It was bare bones. We had a lot of volunteers. We had actors and stuff. But in this case, it's not like you were trying to focus on other actors or extras and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was more about.
I was just trying to make sure I was in the video. Yeah. I was like, I gotta be in it.
Yeah, I didn't question any of that.
Hey man, I think I pulled it off well. That's the good thing. But here's the thing that I want to talk about.
You should have been the performer.
Yeah, I just take him out. Midway through, I start rapping the song. I'm like so full of myself. I'm so narcissistic as a director. I'm like, no, I'll do it. But that's one thing that I think also kind of really, in a way, helped. I mean, it helps a bad word because it was already a really good video. But what kind of made it, for me at least, go from like I was maybe at an 8 with happiness with it. Now I'm at like a 10 with happiness. Is that intro scene we reshot? Like. The pickup, that's what I've learned, because in the beginning I thought pickup shots or pickup days were kind of like, oh, it's like I don't want to do them because the energy's not the same. But at the end of the day, the product should always be your first priority. So for me, it was like the music video is dope, but that whole intro, hopefully if you guys see it, it's like the whole intro, that 30 seconds of like him dealing and then counting his cash. That's one thing I've learned over time is pickup shots can be very clutch. Like with that, like
because if you were to think about the challenges of the days.
We had to match the warmth too. Yeah, we shot 2 long days. We were kind of out of time, and then to take a break and edit the video and then go back and do a pickup shot. I've done that twice now. We've done that with Windows with Sick Kick, right? Yeah. And then we did this with Brown Baby. I'm learning that once you edit it, I mean, you shouldn't always aim for pickup shots. Your aim shouldn't be that.
Never. But if
you can make it better,
right, if it doesn't feel like if it feels like it's incomplete, then you gotta really make that decision. You look at it. It's like, I don't know. Is this what this is? It definitely feels more complete now.
Exactly.
Especially we had when we definitely did the pickups, because I just remember like the challenges of the day, and I feel like we were both mentally prepared in trying to make this production happen, but
you mean the original shoot?
The original shoot days, and things took longer than they've always than we expected. I remember like these car mount shots, and we had this like awesome BMW that we rented out. You don't even see it. There's a BMW shot.
You see like the edge of it.
There's this cool ass BMW red.
What is it, 1988 or something? Like a sexy ass red Beamer.
Classic thing where you actually spent money on that car, and you don't even see the whole thing. You just see that You just see a car mount shot.
Because we had the car for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Setting up the mount took like an hour and a half. Then getting the coverage, and then it was like we tried to cheat, and then we had to have a shot outside of it. And by the time we were like, we should show the car, we had to give the car back.
I think to that point, to the point of like not forcing anything, I think that was like one of the challenges. Like we were forcing to include this thing because we paid for it.
But we accepted it pretty quick. We were like, okay, fuck it.
Eventually, it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. At least the shots in the car is like
they're mint.
Yeah, it's what we were aiming for. That cut that you made, the pre.
By the way,
cut. Yeah.
I mean, I which I always appreciate editing a video. Like I edited this one and then showing it to you because to me you're like the king of editing. So I always show it to you, and then whenever I get good feedback, I'm like, okay, this is a good edit. But I learned it from you too because I used to sit with you like when I directed and you edited, and we'd like edit together. Yeah. But we used to call them like happy accidents, where like you put something in. And you're just hoping it'll work because like you have an edit in your mind, but you're like, oh, this shot might work here, and it just fucking, you're like, what? Like I didn't even think of this, right? Yeah, like editing is another whole thing. Like you know how we're talking about on set, you make these momentary decisions, and you're like, I didn't really plan for this, but this is better than what I planned for. Editing, same thing. While I'm editing, I'm like, I had a certain thing in mind. That shot where the car mount shot we're talking about, where it's like shaking, right?
Yeah.
The fact that I haven't added anything to it, like there's no effects. It's just the actual shake, but the fact that it shakes for the perfect amount of time. It's kind of creepy. Like it literally that's what we wanted. We wanted it to shake for a bit and then it gets straight, like so that you can see him rapping. And it literally did that. It shook like a lot for like the first 6 words he raps, and then it gets steady. And I'm like, who was operating?
I definitely, I remember seeing the cut for the first time, and I remember it being shaky as hell when we were shooting it on the day. But what I did like about it is, and this is like one of those decisions that you have to make as a cinematographer, it's like you got to make sure that you have the right camera that can handle that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It actually looks great. Specifically, had we have, because we did pick up shots with
the
Black Magic.
Yeah. We shot the video with Red Komodo, but only the intro is the Black Magic. Yeah. Which
was perfect for what the new shots were, because like we weren't trying to do anything, no crazy movements.
But which also kind of worked out that it has a different feel to it. It's kind of weird how that also worked out.
Well, that was your intention.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's just so perfect that like the Black Magic added that extra little difference.
Definitely a lot of cases where it ended up working out, and I like how there's that glimmer of hope when it did work. Like in the beginning, when we were like when we shot everything, I had a huge feeling. I was like, okay, when we were done the first initial shoots that we did, I was like, we're missing some stuff, right. and I understood that. I was but I was definitely frustrated. I was just like, I couldn't execute the other stuff. And I was ready to like kind of just give in. I'm just tired. I'm just physically tired, mentally tired. But then I remember like going to like finally sleep, and then waking up the next day. It's like, yeah, there's some stuff missing. We have to reshoot stuff. And I even agreed to it towards the end of the shoot there, because like obviously I'm the cinematographer here. I was like, I want to make this look as good as possible within what we had.
Yeah.
With our resources. And I'm glad that we did the pickups.
It's interesting because
if anything, those are the I'm not gonna lie, those are the best, like the most. Hold on, let me just reiterate.
Rephrase.
Rephrase. I feel like those shots in the pickups are like the best I've ever lit anything, because they actually look really great.
Which is also because you saw the video, we had edit done, and then we had time in between, so it gives you like a second life almost when you shoot it, right? So it could be a good thing to reshoot some like pickup shots. But the funny thing is, like I think both of us, we both were kind of in denial a little bit when we finished. We're like, we might have to shoot stuff, but I think we can salvage it. Like we were both we were both so exhausted. We were both, even though I knew too, I'm like, I think we got to reshoot some stuff or shoot some extra stuff. Yeah. But I'm like, nah, it'll work. And like we were in denial for a bit. At least I was. I'm like, I don't want to reshoot, or I don't want to do pickup shots. But then it got to a point where we edited the first cut, and everyone, I showed it to you, I showed Tristan, and like, oh, sick cut. But we're like, it's missing something. A little something.
You know what? I like the fact that we put so much effort into this, and I love it. By the way, it's just a music video,
right?
But you're like, the story is not there. It's like, who is gonna be watching this and be like, oh, there's some missing elements, like I don't understand. Oh my god, like we're not trying to.
It was at the end of the day, it was, you know what it is? It's for me to.
Which, by the way, I appreciate like the effort that we've gone to the lengths of like, making a story out of it.
It comes down
because I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. It's like we're putting so much, but it comes down to, I want to peacefully be able to get people to be like, watch this video without being like in my head like,
Without
oh,
having
fuck,
to
fuck,
think
fuck.
about, yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
like
now I
something's
can,
missing, something's
now,
off. Yeah.
exactly. Now I want to get to that point with all my projects where it's like, now with this project, for example, with Brown Baby, if I send anyone a link or if anyone sees this work, there's no part of me that's like, I didn't give it my all. You know what I'm saying? So I've had work in the past where I've shown people or like say they've seen it and they're like, oh, it's good. They'll even like it. And a part of me is like, yeah, but I didn't do this one thing and I hate that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I could have made it better. So now Brown Baby, even if someone doesn't like it, I'm like, I get it. Maybe it's not your taste or you don't like it, whatever. But I did for me, it's good. It's like really good. So that's what's like, and I'm peaceful even if someone doesn't like it because now at least I like it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how like we thought we had the convenience of being able to do pickups, right? Sometimes you don't have that opportunity.
Well, we almost didn't either.
We almost did. Yeah, that's true because
with COVID and with like with the winter. Yeah, we were perfect. We had the little window where we were not in complete lockdown. Luckily,
I guess it depends on like. I guess we all have this like sixth sense of like how much we can actually put more. Because like if you want to talk about the documentary, the mini docs that we created in Turkey, that was it. That's all we had. We couldn't do pickups with that. Yeah. You know, you're not gonna have. We
gotta fly back out for the intro scene.
You're not gonna have the refugees. You know, like come back. We can't fly back.
We can't fly back.
Right? We can't have like those people retell their stories.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, no, dude, just logistically, like there's so many other things, but logistically, we can't just go back. Like, you know, the client's like, "Fuck you, sit your ass down."
Oh, you missed some shots. You want to just fly in because you forgot to like.
Oh, sure. Would you like first class? They're like really sarcastic with us. Oh, would you like to go in first class, sir?
Oh yeah. You want the whole crew again? Oh, okay. All right. Hey, that'd be funny though. If, like we actually did.
And we pull it off. Yeah.
They bring us back. We have the same crew that we had, like the same people that we met over there.
We were supposed to. I don't know if it's happening anymore with COVID, but we were supposed to go again next month. Ooh. Let's see. I'll have a talk with them next week.
Yeah.
I missed that.
That's business talk, but I'd love to do that again. Documentaries are a different beast. Because it's
nothing's made me feel like I belong in this film world than doing that documentary. Like knowing, you know what it is, man. It's like we talk about unexpected shots and stuff.
It's just a different beast.
There's so much. You know what it is? Like you said, the sixth sense was a great word to use. Like it's so many instincts you use in a doc. Yeah. And then again, like when they're proven right, like you're just hoping for. I have this in mind. I'm like, this shot has to work like this, and we have to get establish this, blah blah blah, all these shots. Yeah. And then I can just hope at that point, because then it's like like you said, it depends. If you have a year to make a documentary, it's a bit different. You can do reshoots or whatever, right? Yeah. We had like 4 nights there, I think, right? 4 or 5 nights we spent there, and we had to do quite a bit in those 5 nights. We had to travel as well those 5 nights.
Too. We were waking up
3 hour sleeps, I think.
We were waking up, and then we're like, all right, screw it. Towards the end of the day, we're just drinking anyway, and
we're just like,
exactly, unwind in that sense.
We're like sleeping late.
Offload.
We're talking, and we're talking about the day. We're like going over like what we went through and like all the shit. So it's like
because we knew we had nothing else. Like that was it. That's all we're gonna get. We actually lost a lot of. There's some things that we missed out on, right?
Yeah, which is funny. You brought. I completely forgot about that. You're right. There was at least 2 or 3 decisions we had to make where we're like, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this anymore. The thing is, but like you said, sixth sense wise, like I knew that what we had was like enough. Though
we just had enough.
We're like, this is like good. Like, this is what we need to make the dope edit.
I know, like, I wasn't like such an apparent cinematographer in the production, but I was definitely the editor. And I remember having to use every single bit that we could use.
Right, yeah, we did. Yeah, we used. You told me that too.
And I'm glad that like I felt good about it too. I remember when I finally got into like editing that piece together or those pieces. It's like, yeah, this is just enough. And you did a good job. We had the framework to like be able to get what we wanted,
and know what we needed, basically.
Know what we needed, and we were able to put it together. Now. We missed a couple of trips because it was in the midst of COVID coming up, right?
Right. We were supposed to go to 2 other countries too. Yeah.
We were supposed to like.
That was right in the beginning of COVID. Families. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was.
Right in the beginning, where it's like now things are like a little interesting. Some countries are like completely banning flight. It's like we were still normal, like in the sense of we were over here, we weren't taking it that seriously. We're like,
the day that we were flying back, that was like there was like the first COVID case that went through the airport that we were gonna fly through.
Oh shit!
Yeah. I don't know if you remember that. We were like, oh, what? Like it was the day before. It's like someone from like London came or Italy or something. And they had the COVID case, and we're like, oh my God, I hope it's not spreading out in this airport right now.
I just remember feeling like, oh, this will be done in a couple months. Yeah. And look at us now.
I enjoyed that production.
It's one of my favorites.
It's kind of interesting now because that was like pretty much the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
And
which I completely forgot.
Such high hopes. And if you really think about the big productions that you and I have worked together, it was that, and then like nothing happened for a while, and then
Brown Baby. Yeah. We had some. Yeah. We had some small shit here and there, like the stock footage edit and this and that, and like the commercial, whatever. But yeah, you're right. It was literally the two main were that, and then October was the next one, which is like,
if you're gonna ask me of the ones that I was proud of,
8 months apart.
Mean, don't get me wrong, I like all the stuff that we worked on, but like the ones I'm like, I know I poured into this. Yeah. I know I did this, and I made sure that this was gonna be good.
Yeah. The doc and then
it was those two things.
And you're right. When the year started, we felt like once that happened, we're like, this year is gonna just.
I remember I was like, "Yo, this is a great start, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to take the world." Oh man!
And the world was like, "Chill out."
No, shut up. Shut up.
You shut it.
No wonder I still feel freaking kind of. I'm a little down. We did two things that we liked, but at the same time, you think about
it's bittersweet, in context
man. Of
exactly, it's bittersweet because the fact that we got to do those two even is amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is sweetness to it because it's like we did more than. Like in the weirdest year we've ever had, I made two of my favorite projects. Isn't that crazy? Like two of my favorite projects of all time.
Oh yeah.
In the weirdest year. So it's like, obviously though, if it wasn't this crazy, like what happened, then we might have made 4 projects. Who knows, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's kind of bittersweet because at least we got to do that, and I made those two shine more because it was in such a weird year.
And to add to that, in terms of as a cinematographer. And trying to like evolve like the work that I've done and try to like improve on that stuff. It was weird because both times I felt like I grew as a cinematographer. And I'm always trying to like aim towards that direction because I do care about the visuals. And they add to the feeling, right? They always have like it affects you. I mean, there's other things, obviously, performance.
So many things, but you're right. There's like a huge element to how you kind of capture that performance.
When you see that, it's all important.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to disregard all the other aspects of it. I mean, it's
a collaborative team, man. It's like a collaborative sport we're playing, basically.
That's why I love editing too, right? Because that's obviously the next step, and then it's all a matter of like making a decision of like those shots that has a certain feel. Mm-hmm. How can you enhance that in the way you cut things and how one relates to the other, right? There's like these like small psychological effects and how you can enhance a shot right after the other.
I mean, right? As simple as like, I don't know if you mean so specifically, but like, and I've seen directors use it as like, oh, this character's drunk. Let's do it handheld. Oh, this is a moment of clarity in this person's life. Let's do a very smooth shot. Like just that simple. That's like two specific examples that you see probably a lot even in video essays, like the film essays. But it's like, that's the thing though. Like it's like there's so many ways to film something where you can, and that way it enhances, like you said, everything enhances each other. Like the performance during that shot is very important because they're conveying that message. Yeah. But how you filmed it enhances their performance enhances your shot. It enhances my vision in a way. You know what I'm saying? So everything kind of helps each other out. And it's like if everyone's like up here playing here, like pouring their heart in, then you make magic, right? So it's like,
there's one decision that we made, and this was one of those things that you and I might agree to, like that was kind of like a happy mistake, or however you want to frame it. It was going back to the Turkey documentary. There was we obviously shot a lot of powerful scenes, right? And there was just like one shot that looked like a mistake. It was just like shots of buildings, and it was just just looking up. It's like it
was Issa's camera.
Yeah,
it was. He was just walking. The thing is, we shot something, and then we had to get somewhere else, so he didn't stop recording.
Yeah, he just
started walking with it, and his camera's like taking the visuals of like buildings and trees and stuff.
Yeah, and in context, it's like it looked like it was just nothing. It looked like someone forgot to like turn record off.
Which is what happened.
Turn record off, which I guess that's but he still got some shots here.
Amazing shots, yeah. And he was smart enough to point outwards while he was doing this. So he's like, let me just get shit while I walk.
Well, it was like the parts that we definitely used were the most jarring. Like it looked like it was a mistake.
But because what the documentary, the person, the child was saying on camera, what he was saying was fitting that mood of like that hecticness and this raw movement.
Yeah, he was talking about something very, very traumatizing for sure. And then we added that. And it just added so much more.
Because we didn't have it in the first place. And then it's like, but you had it as a mistake almost.
It's funny how like suddenly those shots, they look beautiful. But suddenly that was a happy mistake. Yeah. It's like, this suddenly looks.
But again,
it's so much more emotional.
There's so many complementary things, like the shot mixed with the style of editing, the music, and then what he was saying. So he didn't perform, but his presence, you know. So everything made that moment work. Yeah. Because that shot by itself
it made Issa such a great cinematographer. Right? You know, it's like, wow, he must have planned for this. He knew all along.
He's like shaking the fuck out of it. Yeah.
Shout outs to you, Issa.
Yeah, honestly, I had a really good time with him too, man. Because like for me and you had worked quite a bit before, so going with you was this confidence I had of like I got someone who speaks my language almost. You know, like we have this shorthand. You know, so we had that feeling. With Issa, I'd worked on only 2 projects before that, but we just vibed out right away on those 2 projects. So again, having him there was just like him being like the main cam op and the main cinematographer.
He's the guy with a lot more experience.
But the thing is, that means nothing if we don't get along. Like imagine me, you, and him didn't get along.
Yeah.
The language would have been different. The tone. Just luckily, those 2 projects we had before that, I had a really great feeling, or 3 projects maybe, working with him. And then it was just me and him. I think grew a lot together, even of like figuring it out.
That's a huge part of it, right? You got to vibe with the people you work with.
And
right?
and luckily,
you gotta vibe with them even if you argue with them, because there were definitely arguments.
Yeah, but that's what I love about arguing with people like you or Issa, where it's like we all know, like, and I said this in the other podcast episode too, where it's
having a flashback.
We all know that at the end of the day, the argument, we're all of our heart is in like the place of like the product is the winner, like the whatever we create is what's most important. That's priority. What argument are you thinking of?
No, it was something very something very simple. It was just the framing of the shot.
Are you talking about the last shot of the whole shoot?
No, it wasn't the last.
That's what I'm thinking of. The one in the interview in the house.
Oh, it was. Oh, yeah.
It was the last shot of the whole shoot, dude.
Yeah, it was.
The one where like took like 30 minutes to figure out because me and him kept going back and forth.
Yeah. And it was interesting because I felt like there was definitely a sour taste at the end of that.
No.
And then it worked, but it worked out.
The thing is, what he learned too and what I learned is like we both started speaking in a different way. Before, in the past, if we had argued about a frame, it would have been like, all right, whatever. Or like, yeah, if you think so. But it got to a point where I was like, Issa, this is what I think and this is what I'm thinking. But do you really think the other one's better? And then he's like, I'm just telling you the light's like this, but this one does work. So we were both very like, let's feel it out. Like we both weren't rushing it. Like I remember other people being like, yo, light's running out, and I felt that too. But we were like, let's just take our time with it. But he was at a, like, which I really appreciated from him, was like he was at a point of like, this is what I think, but the other one, if you really see it, then you must have a reason. So I'm okay with that. And I was like, okay, then so we got to that shot. You know,
I actually, you know what, I like that. I like that moment. I didn't want to butt in because
I
was seeing. We've worked together before, and I know I kind of know how to work with you, and I realized I'm like it's just gonna flow into the way it
to did. A solution
and that's what happened. I saw it, and I'm glad that we ended up having that solution to what the frame was.
I love it. I love that frame. I love that frame.
It's one of those things where it's like it's breaking the rules a little bit, but it looked natural.
For me, it was a gut feeling. It just felt so good that the way we framed that, and I was like, we got to do this.
Yeah, it sets up like everything else around with it.
Jumping off from that, because you're like, you know how we're saying we're working together, so you knew how to kind of handle that. And you're right, like a lot of times with you too, like we both realized that just play it out.
I just knew in my position to not say anything at that point.
Just play it out.
I was like, I got my frame. My frame was nice because I had my beat cam.
You're on the side. You're like, I'm going with mine. You guys do what the fuck you guys want.
This is great.
But I have a question for you about that, just in general, very open topic. But
all right,
what do you feel is a successful director and cinematographer relationship? What does that require? What is it to you? What is that relationship to you?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
How do you see that relationship?
You know, I feel like at the end of the day, the director should still have like that exact vision that they want, but then still allow for the cinematographer to kind of do their own thing. I don't think if anything, I'm going to question a production if the director and the DP get along too well. You know, I feel like there's something wrong there.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not saying that
you want to see blood.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know what goes on with like some of the huge Hollywood productions out there, right? Like some of the best DPs that have like out.
Like you think Nolan and Wally used to have arguments? Like, well, I could see that actually.
I feel like, you know, it depends on the director, but I feel like there's obviously it's still your baby as a director, right? So it's like, this is exactly how I wanted to be. And you need those kind of arguments.
Yeah, and you're right.
And then suddenly something comes out.
Something good comes out of that argument. Exactly. I agree with that.
And I'm not saying that you should argue. That's very. It's like we're asking for a toxic relationship here. That's not what it should be. There should be a sort of balance when that comes. That should be one of the things where no one should be agreeable.
Well, it's like a mother-father thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a mother-father thing where it's like, say your parents and the baby is the film. But I mean, I know you're just saying that it's the director's baby, right? But say like the arguments you have, as long as you know, as a parent of a kid, for example, that you're doing it for the kid's well-being.
Yeah.
In a way, you know what I'm saying? Using that analogy is like, as long as there are arguments, because like I believe he shouldn't take drama class. I think he should, like, you know. But it's like, why are we doing this? And then you come to it. As long as you come to an agreement and a solution together.
That's what it is. Yeah. Here, you know what I'm trying to say? I think what I'm trying to say is it shouldn't be it shouldn't sound like it's always the perfect solution.
Yeah.
It should be
a little chaos.
Yeah. A little chaos. I mean, I like it.
No, I agree.
It keeps it a little bit exciting.
I agree.
But as long as you're right, you said this earlier, as long as you both have like the final product in mind and you have that intention, then it's all going to come into fruition. It's eventually gonna merge, and
that's where pre-production is so huge, because if you guys at least discussed and have the same tone in mind and same like end goal, then those arguments aren't fucking like yellow and blue. It's like at least your arguments are in the same world and they're not completely like fucked up, because you're in the same sandbox, because you know in pre-production you created the sandbox. This is where this is where this is what the feeling is, the tone is, the style is, and then blah blah blah, you know, the script or whatever the idea, and then now when you have an argument, at least you're in the same world. The worst thing you can have is like you're like, I'm thinking black and white, I'm thinking color.
I feel like the worst thing that you could, one of the worst things that you could have is it ends up working out.
What do you mean?
It's like, oh, this is actually perfect, exactly what we both intended it to be, which happens.
It happens sometimes.
I've had moments like, yeah, but I'm pretty happy about myself.
But you know what's funny if you say that, actually? Maybe it's a fucking weird trait in us, but it's like those are a little boring compared to other moments where it's I like those moments better too, when it's like an argument and then you have a solution together. You're like, that was passionate. If it's like,
son of a bitch.
But then you get the
fine. All right.
It's like, because you're right. If it's the other way where it's like we both thought of something and it worked out completely perfect, it's like, oh, cool. All right, that's like a boring ass relationship. But when there's some little toxicness of like, yo, this is wrong, and then you kind of come to a new solution. Yeah. There's always something that's more memorable to me, and usually you create a scene that's more memorable that way too, which is weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Another one for you before we start wrapping up slowly. I got another question for you. How do I put this? Okay, there's a 2-part question. There's two questions. The first question, the first question has 2 parts as well.
Okay. All right.
What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite shot or moment of the music video, and the least favorite of Brown Baby?
Okay. This is interesting. My favorite shot is definitely the window shots that's in the background here.
When he's like in the middle of
the performance, you have like a side
my
shot.
Bitch a queen and you're a bitch a bum, when he's singing that.
There you go.
I love that line too, so that's perfect.
I don't know what it is. It's all natural, and there's something about. I've always been kind of the kind of visuals that I really want is a little bit on the darker side. I like moody stuff. You know,
that's the moodiest shot in the whole video.
Moody, yeah. It's like, you know, I'm a huge fan of Christopher Nolan. It's like very moody stuff. You know, I'm like low key depressed. So
just brush past that real quick.
Yeah. I'm really depressed. By the way,
help.
So if anyone wants to help me out, but the shot that I actually dislike the most is something that actually looks good in my opinion, but I don't know what it is. It's we have like this overhead shot of him in the
opening shot. Well, not the opening, but the opening to the music video at least after the short film.
No. That's not it. No. It's in the mechanic. Scene.
Oh.
Yeah. He has a performance like
underneath the car, and he's like fixing the car.
It's like I think I got exactly what you wanted out of that, and I was pretty happy with the way it looks too at the moment when we
even in the video right now.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the fact that it's exactly what we wanted it to be.
It's typical. It's typical.
There was no arguments there. It was like, that's it. We got it.
You're right. It's a very typical shot. It's a clean shot. It's a shot you expect in a. Once we show the. Okay, here's the thing. As soon as I watch a music video, you know how the opening shot is he's walking into like the warehouse mechanic and all that. As soon as I see a scene where a guy's walking into a mechanic shop,
those are a close second, by the way. The back shots that we have.
Oh, those are great shots. Yeah. Those walking the buffalo shots.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, but as soon as I see him, I watch a music video. Like say I hadn't made Brown Baby, I was watching it, right? Yeah. And the video starts, and I see them walking into a warehouse, and then he's walking into a mechanic shop. In my head, I'm like, somewhere in this video, they will have that shot where there's a guy over him, and he's underneath he's underneath the car, and I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like we just did a very typical gimme shot, which is a great shot still, looks great. Yeah. But you're right. There was nothing about that was like argument or like this.
But it doesn't break the video though.
No, it's I think it's a great shot, but I get it's the least.
Yeah.
I don't want to say. I was gonna say it's a boring shot. It's not a boring shot, but it's the most typical shot. It's just like, oh, it's a cool shot. Yeah, There's nothing crazy about it.
The reason I dislike I like it the least is the fact that I don't feel anything towards it.
Yeah, it's just a good shot.
I know, it's like it's fine.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah,
and it's like it's all there. If you were to get rid of it, I wouldn't have been offended. I'd be like, all right, yeah, whatever.
You know what? One shot that grew on me that I didn't even when we were shooting. I'm like, it's such a basic shot, but I like it because I added a little zoom in editing. Is the warehouse one where we're going through the shelves and he's zooming in.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
When we were shooting it, I'm like, it's a cool shot, but with the zoom and the whole movement, like in the edit, I think it got better even. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is interesting when that happens too. When in the edit, you just add a little effect or a zoom to it, and you're like, ooh, kind of nice.
It's If you want to know the third in my top three.
So top one of Brown Baby shots. Let's go top three Brown Baby shots.
Top three. The moody light in the window.
Moody light in the window.
In the window shots.
My bitch a queen, yo bitch a bum.
Yeah, that one.
Number one, all right.
Yeah. They're all even, but like the walking shots from behind.
The intro of where the warehouse
I really did like the way
the mechanic shot.
Like even the mechanic shot. And
what about the outside where he's drug dealing? It kind of works with it perfectly.
So that's
in the car.
So the third shot is that long lens shot of like the drug dealing scene.
Oh, the intro.
It's you with
short
this, you're smoking, and then you're passing the thing, and then the way that's lit. And the funny thing about that is like we talk about how things don't look natural and stuff, and that one is like, where is the light source coming from? Like there's
that was natural though.
It looks and I was very happy with it.
No, but we didn't use anything.
We use a bounce. Yeah,
but that's it though.
But it doesn't look like it's like why? Where is that coming from? Because you can see where the sun source is.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about that kind of stuff. It's like by the time when you see it in the actual video and it's all put together, I didn't bat an eye. I'm like, that doesn't look, even continuity wise, because we have other angles in that shot in the car, it doesn't match. But I didn't bat, like I was like, whatever.
Even we made it, fine. And I didn't even realize that. We created it. We didn't even realize that. Oh yeah, that's a different car and shit. I was just watching the video.
In the actual production, that was probably while it was happening. That was probably my favorite shot. The one I reacted in the most. That the long lens shot with like you smoking. Yeah. Like we always have our moments where it's like, this is it. This is the shot.
We stroke our own dicks no more than anyone else. Like
I love it.
As soon as we finish it, I love that too. When we finish a shot and it's like, This is fucking dope. Dude, this is insane.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh yeah.
It's the best.
We have to and
I feel like
the problem is like we might be like I sometimes I get attached to shots too, right?
And then you're like, might not use this.
Like, we might not use it.
No, but the funniest is like I always think about like people around us because like we're like the director and DP sure we're like filming and shooting it. Even YSF or on a set, like no, but we don't keep it cool. So we start yelling and being like, this is dope. This is insane. And I just feel like they're like, oh, these guys really like what they do. Like, they're really digging their job.
So good. Oh, yeah. That was hot.
This is the shot that we wanted.
Hot. Oh. I love loving the shots.
Yeah,
I'm glad that it especially when it makes it in the cut. That's even better.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right? Sometimes we've had shots we loved and we're like, oh, it's not gonna make the cut.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We had that. But okay, cool. So top three one more time.
The mirror the window shot.
The window shot from OEJX.
All the back shots.
Mm-hmm. All the walking warehouse mechanic shop.
All those shots. They're great. Second. Just like technically speaking, because I'm like I worked on the lighting and the mechanic shot. Like that one,
you can see the whole place.
I'm like, this ended up working. I actually like I don't like love it as much as I really should, but I appreciate how much work I put into like making that final frame work.
Which one?
With that lighting and the mechanic.
Yeah.
It's like it was actually quite complex of a lighting, and I realized that it's like such subtle things that you do.
Yeah.
Changes things.
But I think
usually it was before that it was like very silhouetted, and then you're like, oh, it's looking a little dark, and then like we did like some small touches, and we had a great crew, and they knew exactly what I wanted.
Jose and Ivan killed it.
Yeah, they're great.
Killed it.
They're
They were great.
I love those guys. They're absolutely amazing, and they made that production. They made this production fun as well.
Yeah.
Like we
it was good times, man. The whole squad, and it was our first time working with Ivan and Jose. Actually, wow, this is the first time we worked with Ivan and Jose.
Yeah. And I'm glad we had that experience.
Yeah,
you know, and I like those guys. Like they're
I mean,
hilarious.
I did another one with Ivan, and I've done another one Jose, like separately. And yeah, man, it's just like it's good finding people that like you said, the vibe is so important.
Yeah.
Because the set becomes fun even when you're working like 12 hours. We were 14-hour shoots those two days. The first day was 14 hours, second day was like 10 hours, 24 hours worth of shooting in 2 days, and it was only a great time because everyone was great.
And then we did the pickups with the same.
Ivan wasn't there for that, but Jose was in it in the video. He plays.
Ivan was there in spirit. We used his camera.
Yeah,
there you go. He
was there. Black magic. Yeah.
So he still contributed.
That's what.
And even though he got sick, which brings me to the third thing that I like, the top three. That last shot.
The pickup shots.
Which is the pickup shot of like in the car and the way we just use the bounce light. And
that shot was interesting because that was one of those where I was like, I really keep picturing that moment, the long lens.
Mm-hmm.
But we only had 20 minutes to pull it off. It was cold. Everyone was freezing. And
the sun was moving. We were like reversing the car.
But that was
we need to make sure that the sun is in a specific angle.
Yeah. The sun kept moving. We had to literally move the car a couple inches up every little bit to keep the sun.
I actually didn't think of that, but it's actually surprising. That happens. That happens on set, and that was probably one of those cases where like, oh right, we have to fight.
Fucking that big thing in the sky.
Yeah, it's like, oh snap, or like you use it to our advantage.
I swear we've shot. Remember the DM? I always find that one of the funniest moments on a set where we had to shoot on a front lawn of two characters, an actor basically playing two roles, and it's like the twins. And remember the DM ad where he's and I find it so funny because we obviously didn't have the equipment to fucking block out a sun. We were shooting outdoors. We had a small budget, and it was funny because there was a cloud that kept moving and covering the sun.
We would
film
in between.
We would film the scene. We'd cut, and then we're like, okay, cloud moving. Stop. Sun's there, so don't film. And then we could see the clouds moving. They're moving pretty fast.
It was a sunny day. It was a very particular.
But the clouds it was a very sunny day. But the clouds are moving pretty fast. So it's like as soon as one cloud started covering it, okay, roll. And then so basically we used the cloud as a flag. Like it was hilarious to me how we made it work, dude. It looks clean. It actually looks like we lit it perfectly. Yeah. It's so funny that like using nature as like an assistant almost. That's what we did.
No, for sure.
A gaffer. Nature's a gaffer.
Like that, yeah. We've always had like this very guerrilla style when we work on some productions. It's like we have to like
be creative with our solutions,
Be creative, but we also rely on a little bit of luck.
Oh yeah, which again, it
happens. It works. It
works does, out. and whenever luck comes,
nothing's ever not worked out.
Yeah, but that's what always makes me be like, dude, I think I'm meant to do this because it's like, how is my luck every time hitting that? Like, how am I always working out of situations?
It's like always emotionally exhausting.
Yeah,
I need a day.
After the shoot, you're like, don't talk to me for a day.
I don't want to. I hate everyone. You had another question. You said.
I did. That's what I was trying to think while you were talking right now. I'm like, what the fuck was it? Stall.
You can always cut.
Well, we gotta wrap in 2-3 minutes. So the last thing I was gonna sorry, you have something.
I think I might have a question.
Oh, okay.
It's just like what is it? How do you find the exact thing you want in direction? When it comes to like the visuals or something like this I've always found interesting because I've always been on the side as an editor or as a cinematographer where I take direction, right? I always take.
So direction. Where does if I'm
where's that
coming to me?
Where's that straight source? I mean, besides like getting I mean, there's obvious inspiration from the things that you've watched.
That's so interesting. I've never thought of that where I'm getting to me. Okay, so it's half and half. Half of it is internal, obviously, right? Like in the sense of, and which just sounds weird because it's like, you're right, where the fuck is it coming from? But it's literally just like,
how do you know? It's like, I think this is the right one. Like, it's like, okay.
It's my imagination, honestly. It's like I start picturing things, right? Like I'm like, oh, this would be like, I listen to the scene, or like for example, the pickup shots. I'm like, I want to tell the story in 30 seconds of how he needs money and he sells thing, and I'm like, it can be done in so many ways, but I got to make it quick and entertaining. So, and it literally, it's like, and that's where another reason why I'm like, I'm meant to do this for a living or like for my whole life. It's like I'm getting these images in my head of like, that's as long lens would work, and this would work, and this would work, and this would be great. That's half of it, right? And that's half the credit I can give myself. The other half is literally being a cinephile. I've watched so many things that
Yeah.
all these images are in my brain, and that's all I want to do. Like, all I want to do is recreate those images in my own way. So I watch so much shit, and what helps is, like, if I'm doing music videos, the song helps. Like, it'll inspire me. So
Of
Brown
course,
Baby,
of
like,
course,
when I was playing, I'm like, I keep picturing Strata Compton type shots, or I keep picturing this, and I'm like, that helps. Or if it's a script, you're reading the script, and you're like, you're getting inspired by it to get shots from other things you've seen. But there is that 50% that's from just inside. Like, I just start thinking, I get like these weird like visuals of like, this is how it should be. And then let's be honest, I'm very insecure. So a part of me is like, I'll present them, and I'm very, to any cinematographer, especially with you, because I trust you a lot, I'll be like, this is what I'm picturing. What do you think? And then and then you always give input that either makes it better, or you make me think of it in a different way where I'm like, oh, you're right, maybe, you know? So there's that open thing, but I'm always very open to, I've gotten better at not being too precious where it's like, this is what I want, but also this is what I think. This is very raw. This is very raw. It's like Play-Doh. This is the color I want to play with. This is the color, but what can we make with this?
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Was that a good answer?
This is my podcast now, by the way. I'm doing a takeover.
Taking up your 3 favorite shots for Brown Baby.
The top 3?
The top 3 Brown Baby shots.
There's a top 10. No, it's not a top 3.
It's like that's like all the shots. That's all the frames.
There's a top 30.
Yeah. How many frames were in it?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you every single one of them. Top 3. Okay. So number 1 is definitely the studio shots that we did.
Dolby Jacks, my bitch a queen, yo bitch a bum, like that little windows and all.
Yeah. There's that. Just because like the way the clouds ended up kind of just working out for us, and there's this blue tone, and there's this mood that I quite love about it. It's just so natural. And then we added some lighting to just kind of separate him from the background.
Yeah.
So I actually like that quite a bit. I know it doesn't do much to the whole video.
No, but I agree. It's the moodiest shot for sure. The whole video. It's the moodiest shot.
It adds. Yeah. It does something to me. So that's not. Yeah. I sleep at night and I think about it. Number 2 is they're all equal in my opinion. It's the shots from the back, the walking shots.
Walking to the warehouse, mechanic,
all
that.
The shots and all his jobs that he does. Especially the mechanic shot.
Mm-hmm.
That one, if anything, that's my favorite out of the 3. If you were just to like, okay, they're all
walking into the mechanic, yeah.
Because I just
the walking into the mechanic is your favorite of the 3 walking shots, but it's not your favorite shot. Your favorite shot's still the window shot.
Still the window shot,
yes.
That one I just remember the way I lit that and how it kind of just it worked out. I remember the initial shot was very silhouetted. And you didn't like it. It's like, oh, it's a little too dark and stuff. And we were able to add just a little bit of a touch to just make it, I don't know, make it natural.
I think we worked, one thing about that mechanic shop was we worked backwards. So it was like, what would it kind of look like? What's the vibe? What's the world? And then it was like.
I wanted it to be brighter, man. I remember seeing it as like, okay, this should be like a daytime shot.
I remember your reference.
Make it like a night. Yeah. You know what? I love that.
I love your reference
so much.
What was your reference for that scene? What was your reference for lighting for that scene?
I was so obsessed with the fact it's like, yo, it's Fast and Furious, man. Fast and Furious. Because they have all these mechanic shots in the evening, and it's like, none of this ever looks natural.
Yeah.
And like, you know what? As a matter of fact, if anything, it's unsafe to have that kind of like.
It's too dark.
That's
how are they working there?
Of lighting.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to get any work done.
That's really funny.
Yeah. And I just liked how it all turned out. And I actually got to give credit to the guys I was working with.
Ivan and Jose killed it.
Yeah, Ivan and Jose. They if anything, they also helped me make some decisions to just add that little touch of that grungy feel of that scene. And I know it's like such like a small like
moment.
Yeah, it's small, but that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, we got to use every single bit of lighting that we have.
Yeah.
And because we use every single thing, it was funny because it was just the right amount of lights.
Yeah.
I did not need to add anything else.
No, it's perfect. It's exactly how much light should be there without being too dim and not being too bright.
I didn't even question that one bit. I was just like, okay, this is it. We got it. We got it. Let's just do it. And it's like 5 seconds long. Not even. Maybe it's less.
Less than that in the whole video. It's just crazy. You do so much for just 3 seconds of a video.
Yeah. And then like in contrast to like the amount of time that was spent on just that one shot, we did our pickups, which is like my third.
Your third favorite shot.
The third favorite shot. It was literally like, it was just the camera. It was a long lens shot of the beginning scene where it's the drug dealing.
Yeah,
scene.
I'm smoking a spliff and I give it to him.
And you pass it. It's that long lens, and then like
it's a follow.
We just literally used the sunlight, and we just had a bounce.
Yeah.
There was like minimal work done on that.
We had to do it in a couple. It was very simple, but it was like we have to do it in a matter of 30 minutes because sun's going down as usual. We're battling the sun.
That was the only thing. That was the only thing about that. It's like, okay, we had to move the car
every couple of inches because sun keeps moving.
It was moving, so we had like a couple of takes. But hey, it was one of those like quick and easy. We didn't need a lot.
Yeah, and it worked out. It worked out perfectly too. I really liked
exactly what you wanted out of that, and yeah,
cool. So top three. All right. Okay, so earlier
if you want me to talk about my top 30, I can still, that'll be like another.
That's the whole video.
Minutes.
We'll just watch the video every shot. You're like this one, then this one, then this. The order is the only thing. So earlier I answered the inspiration question. You were gonna say something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you were talking about your inspiration.
Right. And that's fine. Okay. So, you mentioned that you're like a cinephile and you have all these inspirations. The funny thing about me when I started wanting to be a person in the film industry or whatever is that I was not really much of a guy who watches movies, call it blasphemy, but I finally watched Godfather like 2 years ago.
Right.
This whole time that I've been doing this, I've definitely been in the industry for way longer than that. And to me, the inspiration is like, where do I get that spark to like know exactly what I want out of something that I would direct or whatever. And it's an interesting journey because I'm still trying to look for those things. But then I have those momentarily like inspirations where I definitely understand what you're trying to say about being a cinephile. It's like there's something that you see and that sparks interest. And then it grows into
you watch
something.
A music video, a commercial, a film, and you're like, I like how they did that. And then you know what it is?
Yeah.
The best thing about this kind of art is your own imagination then takes a different spin on it. And you're like, what if they did this to that?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, you can just like literally find it out of nowhere. It just comes out of thin air.
You just imagine, your own imagination.
If you were to ask me, it's like, what was the movie that got me into doing this? It would be The
Legally
Matrix.
Blonde. Oh.
Okay. Well, that's like my top
Legally
5.
Blonde's the reason you got into this, to be honest.
It's in my top 5, Yeah. American Pie, just very inspirational films.
I love
the Fast and Furious films.
That I can see that.
They're very...
That I can see that. That's entertaining shit.
They're art house films.
Yeah, very low budget indie films. The Fast franchise. I don't know if you heard of the Fast franchise. They're very low budget.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know about them.
Dude, their budget on their craft services is more than the entire, like, both projects that we did. It's like the Turkey and the Brown Baby project.
Their budget for toilet paper is much
How much are they shitting on that set? What the fuck?
They're just wiping their hands. It's just for hand drying.
5-6 ply, 10 ply toilet paper.
It's for the Rock to use. He likes his 10 ply.
They use cashmere to wipe their ass.
He has big hands, yeah. No, but like I said, like if you were to ask me, it's like, okay, The Matrix is the movie that like really got me into this. Like, oh my god, how can this thing make me feel a certain way?
Yeah.
And it like really opened up my mind. If you're talking about like opening up perspectives and the way you see the world. And if I could, I would make everything look like that. But that'd be too much. It's like everything would be green, And
but see, that was such a good decision by them to make that world like that. You know what I'm saying? Like every project has its own world. You can't, if you like, for example, the opposite. If you like black and white, for example, you can't fucking make every project black and white because some concepts or some material. Yeah. Like if it's a music video, the style, the material, the script, this material, everything kind of needs its own kind of tone to breathe, And you, as a director, as DP of that project, so you're a DP of a certain project, you're like, you got to think of like, what's the type of tone or kind of vibe that I want to give this project to make this specific material be the best version of itself.
And I guess to add to that, I guess that's what it was. At first I didn't figure out why I liked The Matrix so much, but it's the fact that it was its own world and how you were so immersed in it when you were, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my God, I was so obsessed with this. I like watched it every year or whenever I got the chance.
Matrix is like the gift that keeps giving too. Like you learn something new every time.
Gosh, yeah. And the fact that you can do that, that's kind of what got me in. And I guess like the tough part these days for me is like finding that inspiration of like, how can I incite this? Because hey, we're all insecure about what we're doing. It's like, how can I get that feeling to the people that's going to be watching that? How am I going to get them to feel like they're so immersed in this? And that's what it is. And that spark.
It's like an addicting feeling to try to figure that out too.
I guess the question I'm asking for is exactly what I'm like trying to look for. It's like, I guess it just comes out. I guess you just feel it and you're like, this is the world that we're going to be in, and I'm going to try to form.
What would you have to have a connection with the material. You can't just go in like, okay, whatever the script is, whatever I'm gonna shoot it like this. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, imagine working like that. It's like, dude, this is like about colors. Yeah, I'm gonna make it black and white. What the fuck? But it's like Matrix, for example.
Take it easy with that one. That might be an Oscar-worthy film.
What?
It's about colors, but it's black and white. Yo, take it easy.
Take it easy.
But then you make it apparent. It's like, oh, wow, I can really feel the colors in it.
But you know what it is? It's like Matrix, for example. It's like that material is about a guy in this world, and then he goes into this world. Mm. If they just shot that whole thing one way, regular color, regular style, regular film, it just wouldn't hit the same. But because they're like, they understood that this is like, we're showing he lives in a simulation, like a simulation, basically. And then he has other world, all this stuff. That it's like, we have to kind of differentiate them, and also this world should be this color because that's the way we see things.
They swap,
All like, it's so
real world and
like they had to do that, and then they made the real world so dull. The world that they're like going into the whole thing, it's dull. It's a color, so it's like so interesting, and they really doubled down on it, and because for that material, that was the best way to do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you got to be able to really connect, and that's why for me, it's like, say I bring you on a project as a DP, I need to make sure you can have a vibe with the material, because if you don't fuck with it, then you're gonna be like, I'm down, and then you're not gonna be able to really breathe the same kind of like tone that we're trying to breathe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very important that you kind of connect with the material on like a deeper basis than just like, oh, it's a cool idea, you know?
Or just connect. I mean, it doesn't have to be so deep.
I want you to fuck in.
I really feel for this one, because
but
otherwise you're just looking for something that's not always gonna be there.
Yeah, but that is the director in me. That's the thing, though. Every project I do, I really, and I know you're right. I can't ask for that for every person, but I can feel that way about the project, the vision.
You're like working on an ad.
I want the gaffer to feel like, fucking, this is like so
strongly about it.
You know,
it emotionally moves them.
I want people to cry over the script. What?
Yeah, but it's
a happy movie, but just cry because it's like so deep. What the fuck?
It's like an ad about dog food.
Yeah, I want you to connect with this.
This is so emotional. The way the dog eating the treats.
I guess my hope is that everyone, you're right, not emotionally connect, but it's like I want everyone to take it so seriously, like everything, you know, just because I feel like that little extra bit of like really caring about the project.
Let's just say it's varying levels, but as long as there is that connection, and then if you have formed that world and everyone understands that,
that's what it is.
Then like.
Speak the same. But you're right. Commercial is different. Commercial is like a one-day gig, and it's like a very two-dimensional thing.
People can still get it wrong as long as you don't set the world right.
For sure, the form. You're right. The tone and what we're going for. You're right. But I think once it's a film, then I need people to be connected, not just like, oh, you know the tone. It's like you got to really understand the world, the language. Yeah. For sure. So it's different than the medium you're working with in the thing. Music video, commercial, short, long feature. Yeah. But yeah, it's important.
This is great. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think we should start wrapping up because I am pretty hungry. I think you're hungry too.
Yeah.
I am marked.
Yeah. I gotta think about food.
All right. Anything you want to leave off on? Or you want anything last thing you want to say?
I don't know if I really want to say anything else besides the fact that it's great that we have like this like industry where we have like this playing field.
Yeah.
Where we get to do whatever the frig we want at the end of the day. And it's interesting because it's a love-hate relationship, because sometimes it's just not coming out. The creative stuff is just not coming out, or the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
And
the world's kind of interrupting you.
But it's good that when you have the moments where you can really pick up from nothing and then make something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, we're pretty blessed, and it's we're blessed because we find it exciting too, because.
Sometimes I get to, sometimes I complain. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I really want to be doing this kind of stuff. But
you have to be a little crazy, man. You have to be a little crazy, because like we talked about it. Sometimes there's 12-hour shoot days. Sometimes you're just exhausted mentally, not even physically. You're fine physically, but mentally you're like, that was so much like bullshit and stress today because of timing.
Why would you do this?
Why would you do this? Why would you do it again? Like when you finish a project and you're like mentally exhausted, and you're like, all right, next week or next month or sometimes the next day.
Why? We spent 12-hour days for
just so people give us
3-minute video.
We do it so people can applaud us, and make us feel good about our insecurities. That's why we do this, so that people can just tell us that we're good at this shit.
People in the industry is really a bunch of insecure people.
Oh yeah, we just want to hear people tell us that you're such a good DP, you're such a good director.
Good job. Oh, you get some likes. All right, perfect. And then we can sleep at night, and then we can keep living.
So what if you were neglected as a kid? It's okay. We're here for you.
We're making good films. Come on.
We're a little fucked up. That's the moral of the story. But I definitely want you back on this
it.
podcast, bro. So we'll talk more when you come back.
Oh yeah, man. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
I mean, I don't have a drink anymore.
Me neither.
I need more.
It's a bad luck, isn't it?
No, it's okay. I have a little bit more.
Me too.
Just have a little sip.
On that note, all right, guys. Peace.
Later.